Key characteristics of spiritual leadership. It is rooted in service rather than status. Rooted in service rather than what? Status. Okay. It is motivated by love rather than power. It's guided by transcendent values and divine wisdom. We hear that word again, transcendent. It's focused on transformation rather than transaction. As a younger clergy person, a younger pastor, I was more transactional than I was relational or transformative. So I had to try to find out. It's what the personality gurus talk about. I had to try to find out what motivated people and how did they define success and what were their goals in life. And I wanted to transact with them. How could I feed into some of your personal ambitions and get your loyalty to the church? And I discovered that once we start the engagement transactional, the price becomes higher and higher and higher and higher and higher. And I can never over time pay your ego enough to keep you loyal to Mount Ararat. So I had to move from being transactional to transformative. If I can transform you until you would be loyal to the ministry, even if I'm not the pastor, then I know that I've been successful. Does that make sense? All right. Committed to developing others is the final one. Key characteristic to spiritual leadership, committed to developing others. Matthew chapter 20, verses 26 through 28 said, "Not so with you. Instead, whoever wants to become great among you must be servant, and whoever wants to be first must be your, just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life a ransom for many." I don't think there's a passage that speaks more clearer to these characteristics than Matthew 20, 26 through 28. I think this doc will be available to you afterwards. Okay, so you have permission to duplicate it. In fact, what you do is you go home, you talk to one person, and you tell them, you heard me say it, and then you put your name at the bottom the second time you use it, and you say, "As I always say." Yeah. Yeah, that's how we do it, right? The nature of spiritual vision. Let's start on the vision side, then we'll move to the execution side. Spiritual vision to me is the capacity to see beyond immediate reality and to divine possibilities, discerning God's intentions and purposes. Why do I choose the word divine possibilities? Because let's admit that all of us enter ministry duplicating the ministries out of which we come. So that if you are a son or daughter of a pastor who's a builder, you engage ministry measuring success by what? Yeah. If you are the son or daughter of a pastor who is what we consider to be an expert or guru in homiletics, your priority is going to become proficient in, yes. And if you are a pastor who deals with entrepreneurial, extra business engagements with the congregation and the church, you engage ministry that way. I am a son of Bishop Walter Thomas. Walter Thomas is a builder. In 50 years of ministry, 4 churches, 4 different iterations of New Psalmist's personality, and it was effortless for him. After each build, when they say it takes years off of your life, for him it was always invigorating. It created a new pastor every time he built. And I'm talking about building, I think the last project was $40-some million. The debt did not bother him. What it meant to go from a place half the size, half the budget necessities, and to go to a place where the snow removal is over $700,000 a year. That every time you had a funeral, if 2 people showed up for the funeral, your utility costs spiked on the 1 hour you had to turn everything in the building on to accommodate the family. Didn't bother him at all. I left New Psalmist when I was 22. I left a builder. When I went to my first church, guess what the first thing I thought would be the greatest measurement for the success of my ministry in total? Building. I discovered very quickly I am a lot of things that Bishop Thomas is, The one thing I am not is a builder. And I discovered that when we first started talking about transitioning a church. I was pastoring a small church in York, Pennsylvania, Shiloh Baptist, and we were outgrowing our space. And I did all the services I could do. And at that point, I engaged the deacons in a conversation about building. And everybody was excited until that first meeting with a contractor, an architect, and the leadership team of my church.